conventionally attractive female streamers with large audiences or even smaller audiences. If you're just someone who's conventionally attractive and a girl on the internet, unfortunately, there is a chance that you might attract some stalkers, and that is the risk that unfortunately is present with pretty women. What's going on? I'm Yokai Seiya. Welcome to my channel, and this is going to be a little bit of a follow-up to my previous video which I posted about the Emiru situation at TwitchCon. And after making that video, I actually found a post on X that she made. I figured I wanted to talk about it in the topic of today's video as well, because it correlates, and I was going to also dive into a little bit of the movie Perfect Blue and how the Emiru situation in some ways reminded me of that. I don't want to spoil too much of that movie, but I'm going to have a little bit of spoilers just as a warning if you haven't watched the movie, but just want to put that disclaimer out there. Anyway, I want to read part of the post that Emiru posted on X. It's a long post, so I'm going to just get the snippets of it that I'm going to talk about in the video. And this says, "I'm obviously shaken up by what happened, and it's not the first time I've dealt with something like this. But to tell you honestly, I am a lot more hurt and upset by how Twitch handled it during and after the fact. Like I said, I don't understand how he was allowed to make it to me in the first place. The security in the clip who reacts is my own security. It's true my favorite and usual security guard was banned for holding a stalker's arm to bring him to police at a past TwitchCon. My friend who was present told me Twitch security were also behind the booth afterwards, joking about how they didn't even see what happened and immediately laughing and moving on to talking about something else. So if no one was checking if I was okay or if I needed anything and they let the guy run away initially, I have no idea what anyone hired to keep the event safe was doing." Now imagine if this happened to a smaller creator who didn't have all those resources. That would have been insane. Could have been a lot worse, but I'm glad she's okay. In Twitch's statement, they said that the guy was immediately caught and detained. I'm sorry, but that is a blatant lie. He was allowed to walk away from my meet and greet, and I didn't hear he was caught until hours after he attacked me. And it felt like this only happened because of my manager pressing for it, not because TwitchCon staff present thought it was a big deal. Thank you guys again. Sorry you all had to see that. This is definitely my last TwitchCon, and it saddens me to say, as a 10-year off and on attendee of TwitchCon, I think other creators should seriously consider not attending in the future. I did not feel cared for or protected, even bringing my own security and staff. I can't imagine how creators without those options would feel. And those are some of the highlights from the post on X. Again, you can also check it out on her page as well. What I wanted to dive in more specifically was that Emiru's situation is not going to be the first, and it's not going to be the last. Unfortunately, especially for female creators, especially conventionally attractive female streamers with large audiences or even smaller audiences. If you're just someone who's conventionally attractive and a girl on the internet, unfortunately, there is a chance that you might attract some stalkers, and that is the risk that unfortunately is present with pretty women and women in general. And there might be some motives for why a stalker might pursue a fan. Couple examples here. One, it might be someone who's hyper fixated on this parasocial relationship that they have with the creator, and they have this role playing that they're having in their head where they are obsessed with the creator and have romantic feelings towards them, and then they want to just take it too far and they want to try to find them, meet them in person. Another motive for a fan or a stalker, they might not even be a fan actually, they might be a hater. They might be somebody who is unhappy with something that they did, or is just unhappy with something that they said online, and they may try to harm the person by finding them in real life. Now, those are some just examples of why somebody might be following the creator in real life or trying to approach them, like the guy at TwitchCon. And good thing Emiru had security. If this was a smaller creator, they probably wouldn't have the resources, unfortunately, which is why TwitchCon needs to up their security in future events so that hopefully something like this doesn't happen, because in my opinion, this could have easily been prevented but TwitchCon was negligent in this area, and I think most people are on the same board with that. But I also dive deeper into it in my previous video if you want to go check that out. But going back to being a female streamer, again, the stalker problem. Unfortunately, this is nothing new. If you're somebody who is conventionally attractive online, especially as a girl, unfortunately, there's a good chance that you may get some stalker fans the more people you attract. And that's where this reminds me of the movie Perfect Blue. So I am going to go into a little bit of some spoilers here. In the psychological thriller Perfect Blue, the stalker is not a single person, but a composite figure. The plot reveals two individuals acting as Mima Krigo's stalkers, a fervent fan known as Mimania and her manager, Rumi Hidaka. This dual threat dives the central themes of identity loss, exploitation, and the blurred lines between reality and fantasy. So that's kind of a little bit of what goes on in Perfect Blue. Again, there were a little bit of spoilers there, but I don't want to spoil too much because of how good of a movie it is. Definitely go watch it. But this shows that there is a main character that is in the spotlight. This is a movie where the main character is a Japanese idol, leaves the idol scene, and wants to pursue acting. And unfortunately, there are some people who are not so happy about that decision and try to come after her in real life. Multiple people are stalking her in real life and haunting her and giving her turmoil. So that's what goes on in the movie. Once again, sorry for the spoilers, but that's a little bit of the connect that I want to make to this Emiru situation and how the Emiru situation sort of reminded me of Perfect Blue. And Emiru's not the only one. There's also Call Me Chris. I remember she said in one of her videos, I don't remember which one it was, but she talks about how a stalker fan of hers, used a drone to try to find her. And Amaranth talks about in another video, I think it was the interview she did with Anthony Padilla, where she talks about how a stalker in real life was trying to find her and she had to basically hide from him. I think that's what happened. I'm just going off my memory here. But again, unfortunately, even Emiru was saying this is not the first time that she had something like this. She had a stalker incident before where fans were coming up to her and trying to stalk her. So female creators of this caliber are now just getting desensitized to it. It's a double-edged sword because in one way, it's not phasing you. But on the other hand, should you really be fazed by this at all? Like, I think you should be fazed by it. Something that should be an alarming thing. And the fact that you're desensitized, that it's happened so many times, it's sad because of the situation. I'm not saying this as a diss to the creator, but it's sad that female creators are having to now get desensitized to stalking fans. And it's never a good thing. I think especially female creators really need to be careful about their whereabouts and what they post online because they don't want to attract the wrong people. I'm not saying you should live in fear and not post what you enjoy. Obviously, when it comes to what you post, it should be something that is made at your own decision making. But in my opinion, especially female content creators who are also conventionally attractive really need to be careful because they don't want to attract the wrong people. I think if they're going to meet and greets, definitely have security. And I would say be careful about your whereabouts and what you post online. You don't want the wrong people finding out where you are. And definitely be careful because there are fans out there that will take things way too far. So be careful of people who are donating way too much money. Be careful of people who seem to like you a little too much. You never know. They might be somebody with ill intentions. So it's a dangerous world out there, especially as a female streamer. So definitely be careful out there. All right, that's it for now. What do you guys think of my take? Do you think female creators need to take extra steps to help prevent them from getting more stalkers? Let me know in the comments down below what you think. I'm Yokai Seiya. Thank you for watching. Until next time.